you know, and it makes you look so attractive too, especially the big chiclet teeth.
Every movie crew has its makeup artists. How do you think we get to see 80s looks created in the 2000s? It certainly isn't time travel. A movie with makeup prosthetics is The Greatest Showman. You can tell from every character in the movie that their look was out of the ordinary, and although they represented real-life people, they had to go through the makeup process. However, to get makeup done, some of these actors have to go through rigorous processes to get the perfect hair, the right look, skin shade, or tattoos. And trust me, not all the actors want to say yes to this, but it's all about making money, right? Today, we're going to look at every actor who was forced to wear painful makeup prosthetics. But before we get into that, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on post notifications for this channel. First, let's start off with a character everyone is familiar with, the Grinch. Jim Carrey starred as the Grinch in Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. His makeup artist for the look was Kazuhiro Tsuji, one of the movie's most renowned special effects makeup artists. His work has spanned Men in Black, Hellboy, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Darkest Hour, which has earned him his third Oscar nomination for Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyle. Carrey's transformation into Dr. Seuss's grumpy creation was extraordinary, but it came at a price. Carrey was forced to undergo hours of makeup work each day to transform into the Grinch. The transformation covered him head to toe in green fur and forced him to wear enlarged contact lenses that proved troublesome. The yellow contact lenses were so painful to wear that in some shots, the color had to be added in post-production because it was too painful to wear them. The actor became annoyed at the lenses since they easily attracted the fake snow falling on set. Although Carrey got some help getting used to the pain as the production hired an ex-CIA agent to train him in torture resistance, he still didn't escape the pain prosthetic without a price. To this day, Carrey recalls his role as the Grinch to be one of the most intense roles that drove him crazy, and it was caused by the costume. In fact, the head makeup artist had to check into therapy because Jim Carrey, who was already going crazy at the time, was also driving him crazy. Next up, not many may know this movie, but it sure did set a record by giving makeup artists a category at the Oscars. In 1980, Tucker was hired to create the prosthetics that would transform John Hurt into the hideously deformed Joseph Merrick in David Lynch's film The Elephant Man. Hurt's role as Joseph Merrick earned him widespread fame, and it was considered as the role which best exhibited his talent as an actor who could evoke pure humanity from being a monstrous facade. It took 7 to 8 hours in makeup for Hurt to become Merrick. It then took up to 2 hours to remove the 15 layers of prosthetics Hurt wore. Hurt would get to set at 5 in the morning every day and would be ready to shoot by noon, filming until 10 at night. The designs for the Elephant Man's head and limbs were taken directly from original casts of Merrick's body kept at the Royal London Hospital. John Hurt found the laborious process incredibly difficult and strenuous, and he complained to his wife, saying, "I think they finally managed to make me hate acting." Next up is one of the earliest superhero movies made, sure to hit the screens with some prosthetics. After all, mutation comes with some effects. The first actor to play Mystique, Rebecca Romijn, went through some long hours and prosthetic costumes to give us our very first Mystique. According to Romijn, her makeup and prosthetic application helped her to understand what Jim Carrey meant when he made statements about having psychologists on call for mental issues. In her words, "I actually read an interview with Jim Carrey when he did The Grinch, and he said he had a psychologist on call for mental issues. When you're in that kind of makeup, it feels claustrophobic. When I read that, I completely connected with him." She also gave a walkthrough on what the process demanded. She said, "Honestly, it felt like eternity. 9 hours on the first one. By the third one, we got it down into the 7-hour range. But the first time they did my makeup test, it was a 12-hour test, and I did not think I was going to survive the experience. I really didn't." She admitted that the costume was driving her crazy, and her only connection to reality was her palm. Romijn stepped down from the role of Mystique after the first trilogy. As we all know, the show continued even after Rebecca Romijn left and a new Mystique was cast, and Jennifer Lawrence bagged the role. Lawrence had her own fair share of the prosthetic drama. According to Lawrence, when she began her role, her makeup process took about 8 hours, but over time it was reduced to 3 hours, and she would either stand or sit on a bicycle while they were doing her makeup. Well, the pain wasn't only in the process. In an interview, Lawrence shared what the blue paint they used on her body did to her skin. "I got a couple of things from that paint," Lawrence said, "like weird boils, rashes, and blisters. At some point, a doctor had to be called on set. Lawrence had developed too many blemishes, and she needed the pus-packed pustules to be popped. Lawrence, however, liked her role as Mystique, but the prosthetic was a major problem. The experience was so unpleasant that she insisted on wearing a full-body suit instead for the sequels. Up next, Buddy Ebsen could not keep his role as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz because of the hazardous makeup. Today, Jack Haley is widely known as the face behind the Tin Man, but that was never the case at the start. In fact, he wasn't supposed to be in the movie at all. The first role went to the 1930s star Buddy Ebsen, and he had already started acting as Tin Man when he began to experience life-threatening issues with his prosthetics. The original Tin Man makeup contained aluminum dust, which Ebsen ingested into his lungs, causing him to be rushed to hospital with respiratory distress and severe cramps. The dust was later switched to paste after he had been recast. When Ebsen described what he went through, he said, "The cramps in my arms advanced into my chest, to the muscles that controlled my breathing. If this continued, I wouldn't even be able to take a breath. I was sure I was dying." He was hospitalized, but eventually recovered. He was replaced, however, and the production fortunately found an alternative, safer substance for Jack Haley. Next up, Marvel has many superhero characters, and some are out of this world, which means prosthetic makeup for the casts. Dave Bautista was one of Marvel's out-of-earth characters in Guardians of the Galaxy. When he first filmed the first part, he had to sit through 5 hours of makeup, but as they progressed, it took 4 hours. Not much difference, but very pricey. You see, Dave Bautista's Drax makeup wasn't so much pain getting on, but the pain came when it was time to take it off. Bautista said in an interview, "It's really hard to take off. It's a very abrasive makeup. It's almost as long to take it off. I have to sit in a sauna for 45 minutes to an hour, and I spend about 20 minutes by myself, start to heat it up and sweat it off before they can come in with chemicals and almost peel it off. It's like glue, so abrasive, so they take it off slowly, a slow and tedious process." He literally had to sweat off the Drax suit. Such horror. Next up, we have another MCU character, Vision. Vision is yet another example of how talented Marvel Studios' hair and makeup departments have been over the years. According to Paul Bettany, the worst part of being Vision was sitting on the chair. Bettany, who sat for almost 4 hours, had a lot to say about getting the makeup on. He said, "Mainly the pain in the ass was the prosthetics and stuff that you know is as uncomfortable as getting paid a lot of money to be uncomfortable is, which is not really that uncomfortable. It wasn't even putting it on, it was sitting in it. You know, the putting it on, which took about 3.5 hours with prosthetics, makeup, and all of that, and then the suit. It was sitting in it. The first day was okay, and it wasn't even the second day really, but the third day in a row and the fourth and the fifth day was, you had to get kind of zen about it and meditate on the line of 1,000 actors being you that would like to be in your position, you know? You can't hear very well, you can imagine it's quite isolating, and you have a cooling mechanism, which is a suit beneath it that pumps a sort of ice-cold water around you like race car drivers use. And there's a lot of sitting down, reading, and just trying to focus on how very fortunate you are." Up next is Michael Chiklis, who played Ben Grimm in Fantastic Four. With all that stone, be sure to expect hours of makeup. After he got cast for the role, he began to prepare for the prosthetic by running to increase his endurance, but little did he know, he was prepping the wrong way. He said, "I thought, well, I'm going to be in the suit all day, I'm going to need endurance. So I started running 10Ks. The day I put it on, I realized I had made a mistake. I had trained improperly for this. It's 60 pounds and it's insanely hot. And I rarely got into any kind of cardiovascular area, but my heart rate went up immediately because of the heat. What I should have done was put a 60-pound pack on my back and walked around in it for 12 hours. That is a wrap for today's video. Thank you for watching.